And this is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business. Today we've got a special Skype with our friend Eric Rosenberg, who's joining us today from Ventura, California, a writer covering the financial services industry. Eric, good to have a chance to chat with you today.
Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Our pleasure. Eric, you wrote an interesting article on credit card benefits that was in Business Insider a couple of weeks ago. Maybe start by telling us a little bit about your writing career and some of the financial service topics you like to write about.
Sure, that's a great place to start. So my background actually isn't in writing. I started in corporate finance and accounting. So my first job after college, I got an undergraduate degree in finance. I went and worked in a bank. So I was the guy on the other side of the desk, doing all of the day-to-day stuff that you need to do to run a bank branch. I was approving mortgages and new accounts and credit cards that came through my branch, running customer service and the teller lines, all that day-to-day banking stuff. And as part of that, I got a very deep education on how credit reports and credit scores work. And being the guy approving credit cards amongst other loans, I had to know how to underwrite those applications. So that's where my background in this industry really started. I decided banking wasn't really right for me in the long run, so I switched to that corporate finance and accounting track. I was in gray cubicle land. But along the way, I worked in a bunch of different roles. I was in telecom for a while. And ultimately, my last job before I went full-time writing online was at a payments company at Fiserv, if you're familiar. They're a large back-end provider of a whole lot of different financial services for financial institutions. And I was in the card services division there. So all focused mostly on debit cards, but a lot on credit cards as well. But along that time, after I quit the job working in the bank, I started a little personal finance blog just because I thought, oh, this is a topic I'm passionate about and I know a lot about. And that led to opportunities for freelancing, which in April 2016, I decided to take full time. Like any good responsible dad with a 6-month-old daughter at the time and a stay-at-home mom wife, I quit my job, sold my house, and moved to the most expensive part of the country. So here I am.
Well, that's quite a story. I noticed you went to the University of Denver, where my sister went to school. Fine school there.
Go Pioneers.
Absolutely good hockey team. Tell us a little bit about some of the topics you like to write about in your blog.
Sure. So I joke that I like to write about anything with a dollar sign attached. With 2 finance degrees, I got the MBA in finance also. That was the one from the University of Denver. But I write about a lot of different finance topics, and they usually boil down to either the personal finance side, being things like bank accounts, credit cards, investing, understanding the right investment accounts and investment apps you might want to use. And then on the other side, I write a lot for businesses, a lot for entrepreneurs and small startup businesses, because I do have a bit of background there as well.
Very good. Well, the article that really caught our attention was in Business Insider, June 20th, and under the radar credit card benefit might not be as exciting or glamorous as points or miles, but in a pinch, just as useful. And I sent that out on our Twitter and our LinkedIn pages. I said, boy, that's what we've been saying all the time, that benefits like merchandise protection, extended warranty, really can go a long way to help out a customer who's had damage or to an item, or an item has broken. And some of the other benefits in the travel service area, auto rental protection, being able to skip the fees charged for insurance by the car rental companies, some of the travel benefits. Why did you pick up on that particular topic?
Well, it's, people focus so much on their reward points and their cash back, which is a good place to focus too. I just took a trip to the East Coast for free, thanks to my miles and points. I generally try to fly for free or as close to it when I can, like we all would. But that's not the only reason to use a credit card. There are so many other protections and benefits. You just went through a great list, and those can be worth even more than a free flight. An example in that article, I talked about a robot vacuum cleaner I bought. We got it about a year ago. And of course, 2 weeks after the warranty expires, 2 weeks after we bought it, it broke. It just stopped working. It was going beep, beep, beep whenever we tried to clean anything. And that vacuum wasn't cheap. It wasn't the most expensive iRobot version. It was, I think, about $250. But if you have a credit card that has, let's say, a $95 annual fee, and you have a $250 vacuum that just broke, and you have a 1 year extended warranty, which I did on this purchase, and that's a $250 value right there. So that's more than your annual fee, and that's easily as much as a lot of plane tickets. So yes, those points are great, and you know you're going to get your points and your cash back on each purchase, and you don't know when you're going to need those insurance and protection benefits. But when you need them, you'll be so glad you had them, because otherwise, who knows what you might end up paying for or replacing that you didn't plan to.
Well, that you said it so well. This program started out almost 30 years ago with the launch, as we like to say, the Visa Gold Card program and some of the other Visa and MasterCard premium programs. And, now with laptops being ubiquitous and tablets and cell phones, being able to have an extended warranty doubled up to an extra year is very valuable to consumers. And, it's as contemporary now as when the program started 30 years ago. I
Yeah,
guess the key, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, it doesn't matter how old the item is or when you buy it. I guess how old it is for the warranty type matters. But that's a great point. It doesn't matter if it's 1980 or 2050. Whatever you buy, things can break. It will definitely never go out of style.
Sure. And we were at the Card Forum conference in New Orleans in May, and one of the sessions talked about benefit programs, be it points programs or insurance benefit programs on travel or merchandise. And they said the important thing is to make sure the customer has a good experience when they're inquiring about a program, about filing a claim, and then having the adjudication process go smoothly to meet the customer's expectation. It may not be approved every time, but you want the customer to feel like the process was smoothly handled and met the standards and the description of the program. Is that something you see as very important, the customer experience on a redemption?
Oh yeah, definitely. If I think the key word here would be if they see it as fair. If people understand, if if they have little kids at home and their kid throws their laptop off the roof, that might not be covered by an extended warranty. They can't be too upset about it. But if they're using something as it was intended and it breaks, then they would like to see a fair resolution and don't want to have to jump through too many hoops to get there. People today live in a time of having everything instantly and convenient and on demand, whether that's tapping a button on your phone screen to have your lunch delivered, or ordering something with same day or next day delivery on a website, or hitting play on a song, or even video games now, movies. Everything is so instant that if a customer of any company, whether it's financial or otherwise, has to feel like they're doing a lot of extra work to get that whatever their promised service or product is, which in this case, the service would be the claim. Yeah, they want that to be an easy and smooth experience. And I'd say, luckily in my case, I've always had good, smooth experiences. I didn't get every claim I've ever put in paid out, but I always felt it was fair. And that was that first word there. As long as it felt fair, I was okay with the result.
Well, I think you said it very nicely. That's a key objective. And we manage the claims processing for quite a few programs. Eric, last year, I would say in the card business, the Chase Sapphire Reserve program was big news. Received quite a few awards at the Points Guy Award program last December. What have been some of the innovations that you've seen that have impressed you this year?
I think this year, some of the bigger changes have been refreshes to older cards. So I haven't seen, big blockbuster new cards show up like that Sapphire Reserve, but looking at a few cards, there have been some great improvements. The American Express Gold Card late last year did a big refresh. It was good enough to get in my wallet. So that's my primary grocery and restaurant card now. The Capital One Venture Card had a big refresh last year as well, towards the end of the year. So going into the year, we're looking at these older cards that they were good, but not quite as exciting. Not good enough, at least for me to sign up yet. And now we're seeing those card companies really looking at the benefits and rewards programs and saying, what can we do to be the most exciting card for users and the most useful card for users? So when I look at something like benefits, one of the benefits I love that we don't talk about that much, but it's one that I really love and look for, and my Chase Sapphire Reserve has it, is the trip interruption or cancellation insurance. I mean, that's not a huge innovation. It's not brand new. But if you've ever been on a flight that was weather delayed and you got stuck somewhere overnight where you had to sleep in an airport or pay for a hotel out of pocket, having that benefit is just, I mean, it feels like a lifesaver when you just want to get a good night's sleep. So I think the best innovation now isn't necessarily new benefits coming out, though there are some good ones. There's newer focuses on things like cell phones that we all tend to drop. Maybe if you have a card that you pay for your cell phone with that card, if your phone breaks, that card would cover the repair replacement cost. So those kind of innovations are great, and I love to see those. But I also love the innovation where card managers look at what us users really want today and are willing to step back and say, okay, we need to add these benefits or refresh the benefit list to keep this card in the conversation.
Well, one of the speakers at the card forum was the marketing manager at Navy Federal Credit Union, and he talked to that point. He said they can't do everything being in a credit union environment, but they listen to their customers for what they value and can get use from. And it's great that you mentioned one of the travel service programs, very similar to programs we've been offering for many years. And between trip interruption, being able to maybe have an airport lounge experience provided, some of the programs that customers have really enjoyed. Now, Eric talked with Eric Rosenberg, who's a trade writer following the financial services industry based in Ventura, California. You speak quite a lot at trade events and at different sessions. What have been some of the topics that you've been talking about this year?
This year, I've had a handful of events. I've had some local events, which are great, going out into the personal finance space. So those were some more corporate or government events where I was speaking to employees about different personal finance topics. So I always think getting back to basics is very important. This year, I have a couple talks coming up at different conferences. I'll be going in a couple weeks to Podcast Movement. That's a podcasting conference, no surprise. And that one, I'm going to do a 5-minute talk on the business side of running your online business. So that's probably more exciting for the entrepreneurial business credit card holders out there. But all that stuff you have to do behind the scenes to run a business. I'm not just selling and delivering your product, but dealing with bank accounts and taxes and picking a business credit card and keeping your business finances separate from your personal finances. And that's a big topic for me right now. And I'm actually speaking on a similar topic, not exactly the same, at FinCon. That's a financial blogging and media conference taking place in September in Washington, D.C. this year.
I believe we're going to be there.
Well, I will see you there. I've been to every single FinCon. I actually would not be doing this and would not be here today if it were not for FinCon. So I'm a big fan.
Well, looking forward to that. Now, when you brought up the business side of credit card use, we see a lot of self-employed people using a personal credit card for their business. What are some of the benefits that someone who's an entrepreneur, someone who's self-employed, or works for a company where they use their own credit card, what are some of the benefits that they really look to when they use a card for business?
So when you use a card for a business, you want a lot of the similar features you'd want for a personal card, with a few different tweaks. So for, let's say, on the reward side, if you use one of the Chase Ink cards, I use the Ink Cash. There are bonuses on categories specific to what businesses often spend on today. So that's great. Things like office supply stores and streaming services, perhaps, or web hosting services like AWS, Amazon Web Services. So those are useful. On the protection side, I think it really depends on the kind of business you're in. So in my business, being a writer, I don't have to worry about a lot of gear or equipment. I don't. My it's now ex-brother-in-law owns a construction company, so his needs for a business credit card were things like equipment that he was buying. For me, because I travel more for work than I probably buy equipment for work, I care more about those travel benefits. If I go to a conference and rent a car, that travel car rental coverage or that damage collision waiver, there's a few different names for it, but whatever you call it, not having to spend $10-20 a day on insurance when I'm gone, that's a big benefit for my business. So I think
that's a program. Boy, you are really talking up some of the programs we've worked with through the years. That was a program the president of our company, Bob Conti, was involved with starting, the auto rental collision damage waiver, which helps customers avoid the high cost insurance that is sold actually at car rental counters. So that if you charge the rental to the covered card, that you have a level of insurance coverage for that rental. So again, that's a very important benefit for business travelers to keep in mind.
And that one, unlike an insurance benefit like trip cancellation insurance, where you hope you'll never need it, with the car rental insurance coverage, depending on how much you travel for work, you know exactly what that is going to be worth. If you are a dedicated customer of one of the major car rental agencies, and let's say they charge $15 a day for coverage, and you'll spend 30 days out on the road with a rental car, but you can do the math and figure out exactly how much that'll save you. So that's definitely not something to overlook, especially if you're running on a thin margin and you're trying to squeeze every dollar of profit out you can, and those are dollars in your pocket rather than the car rental company's pocket.
Absolutely. Now, Eric, I know you write on personal finance, and gosh, yesterday the Dow Industrial Average hit 27,000. I used to work on Wall Street, did marketing at Dean Witter years ago when they thought it'd be a big deal if the Dow got to 3,000 back in the early 80s. And the Dow has really pushed forward, certainly in the last couple of years. What are you writing about as far as the recent upturn in the stock market?
I generally try to tell people don't buy and sell based on market trends. I'm a big fan of the invest whatever you can afford to invest on a regular basis over time and avoid market fluctuations from day to day. Because if we look at things like this in the past, we've seen it's easy to get excited when the markets go up, and it's nice to see our portfolio values go up. But unless you're going to retire or use those funds within maybe the next 10 years, your balance today isn't all that relevant to you today. What's most important is that you keep saving and keep saving and keep investing. So when the markets are doing well, I tell people to do the exact same thing as when the markets are bad. Maybe when the markets are doing really well, I'd almost tell people to be a little more cautious investing because we don't know when we're going to be at the top. There was a great Warren Buffett quote. I have a few shares of Berkshire Hathaway. They're B shares. I'm not quite A share wealthy, but so I've gone to the Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting 3 times, and I love seeing Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and hearing their amazing advice. One of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett is that when everyone's excited, you should be afraid, and when everyone else is afraid, you should be excited in the stock market. So when things are doing really well, we can celebrate that things are doing really well, but don't let it go to your head and go, put all your money back in right now because we don't know what the top is.
Hey, that's good advice. Now, maybe you could, we'll ask you about the fall. You're going to be speaking in Washington in September at the conference you mentioned. What are some of the things that you're going to be looking into, perhaps speaking and writing about this fall?
So this fall, my speaking will probably be slowing down after FinCon. My wife is pregnant with baby number 3. due in November. So I'll have
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, so I'll have some time off from the travel world for a few months for that, which we're very excited about. But I will definitely still be on the keyboard. Right now, people are talking a lot about interest rates, looking at, if you have a credit card, your interest rate is probably variable and it will go down or up if the Federal Reserve changes rates. That also affects money market accounts, savings accounts, any kind of account that you have that the rate will adjust with the market. So actually just polished off one on high yield savings accounts, and we're talking a little bit now, is it the time to get a CD because interest rates might be going down? There have been hints of that in the next quarter. So that's where I'm looking lately on the personal finance side, is thinking about interest rates. Although most people probably shouldn't worry too much about a quarter percent. It's not going to make or break your finances. So sticking to those long-term financial goals, especially in times when there might be any financial uncertainty. And thankfully, the markets are doing well, but we're just one tweet away from a trade war or something like that. So
Yes.
I have cautious optimism that the economy will keep doing well and people will keep doing well through the rest of the year and into next year. But again, you have to put a little caution there. So make sure if things are going well, take the lesson and keep funneling money into savings in case things turn around, so you are ready to handle whatever comes up.
Well, Eric Rosenberg, we really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us on CBSI Talking Business Skype report. Now, people can follow you. I know you write for Business Insider quite frequently, and your Twitter handle is Eric, ERIC Profits.
That's right.
And tell us about other ways that people can follow your writing.
Sure. Yeah. So the easiest place to find me, yeah, Eric Profits on YouTube, or you could go to ericrosenberg.com. And that's about my freelance writing. I also have my personal finance site that I've had since 2008. That's called
Wow.
Personal Profitability. That's a blog, podcast, and now YouTube channel. So you can find all that at personalprofitability.com. And actually, as a freebie for the watchers today, I have a boot camp. It's a 7-day series. You get a video. They're about 10 minutes or so long each day for a week. And you can get that at personalprofitability.com/bootcamp. Again, totally free, no strings attached. And I hope you enjoy it.
Well, that sounds great. Eric Rosenberg, trade writer out of Ventura, California. Thank you for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you at the FinCon conference down in Washington. We're planning to be there, so that's going to be fun and very informative. But thanks again for joining us on CBSI Talking Business.
Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person in a few months.
Okay, great. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services Talking Business from our headquarters in Harrison, New York. Have a good day, everybody.